Hello, my name is Trent McNeil, and today I'm going to be explaining my program for Project 1. So the program I created is a personality quiz called What Kind of Character Archetype Are You? In this presentation, I will go over the purpose of my program, the steps I took to design and develop it, and explain one of the more complex parts of my code, and talk about what I learned from completing this project. So the main purpose of my program is to take user input, use conditional logic to produce a personalized result. The program asks the user 5 different questions, each with 3 possible answers. The questions are based on how the user reacts to situations like pressure, teamwork, and decision making. Each answer contributes points towards one of the personality types, which are Strategist, Berserker, and Lone Wolf. At the end of the quiz, the program compares the total points and determines which personality type best matches the user, then displays that result with a short explanation. I chose this type of program because it fits the requirements of the assignment very well. Because it also allows me to collect user input multiple times and apply conditional logic in a meaningful way. It is also simple and interactive, which makes it easier for users to stay engaged instead of just answering questions and the user gets a result that feels personalized to them, which makes the program more interesting to use. To create this program, I started by deciding on a clear idea that will be simple enough to complete, but still meet all the requirements. Once I chose to create a personality quiz, I designed 5 questions that all have 3 fixed answer choices, and I made sure the questions were close-ended so I could easily use them in a conditional statements without worrying about unexpected input. After that, I created the variables I needed. I used the variables to store each user's answer, and I also created 3 score variables to track the personality types. These score variables increase depending on the choices the user makes throughout the quiz. So next, I planned out the logic of the program. So I decided how each answer would affect the scores. So for example, answers related to planning and thinking increase the strategist score, while more aggressive answers increase the Berserker score, and independent answers increase the Lone Wolf score. Once the planning was done, I wrote the code step by step and added input statements for each question, then used if, else if, and else statements to update the scores based on the user's answers. And I also included a switch statement for one of those questions to meet the project requirement and to show a different way of handling multiple options. One of the most complex parts of my program is the final conditional logic that determines the user's result. After all 5 questions are answered, the program compares the 3 score variables to figure out which one is the highest. If one of the scores is greater than the others, the program assigns that personality type as the result. It becomes more complex when there's a tie. In that case, the program checks if the 2 scores are equal and greater than the third. If that condition is true, then the program gives a mixed result instead of just one. This requires combining multiple conditions using logical operators, which makes the decision process more detailed and accurate. Through this project, I also learned how important it is to plan before writing code, and breaking the program into smaller steps made it easier to manage and reduce mistakes during coding. I also learned how to use conditional statements more effectively to control how a program responds to a user input. Another thing I learned is the importance of definitely keeping things simple. Using closed-ended questions made the program easier to build and more reliable, and also made it easier to connect the user input directly to outcomes. If I were to improve this program, I would definitely add input validation so the program only accepts valid answers and possibly repeats the question if the user enters something incorrect. I might also expand the quiz by adding more questions or personality types to make the results more detailed. Overall, this project helped me better to understand how user input, variables, and conditional logic work together in a program. So thank you so much for watching this video, and that'll be all.